Welcome to the 6th Sense Certification Conference Call. My name is Christine, and I will be your operator for today's call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Later, we will conduct question and answer sessions. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I will now turn the call over to Carol Marples. You may begin.
Well, hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to the 6th Sense Certification for Compliance with the New Meal Pattern Requirement presentation. And I'm Carol Marples. I'm one of the ODE Child Nutrition Education Specialists, and I'm going to be your presenter today. I'm going to be spending about 2 to maybe 2.5 hours with you today to review the 6th Sense certification process. I'm going to be talking with you about the School Food Authority's responsibility for the certification process and the required documentation that's needed for the state to approve your 6th Sense reimbursement, as well as introduce you to the 2 parts of the 6th Sense worksheet. I'm going to actually demonstrate both the menu assessment part of the worksheet and the simplified nutrient assessment in great detail for you. So hopefully you were able to make copies of some of those handouts that were provided from the webinar or from the website that were specifically for this webinar. They included that 2012 question and answer that's related to the certification and compliance memo. It also included the high school menu plan along with all the product nutrition information sheets and the recipes. I hope you downloaded at least the high school menu plan. And also a copy of the grade 9 through 12 menu worksheet if you needed that to follow along. We're going to be using these materials throughout the demonstration, so I really recommend that you have them handy and ready to go. So as you know, FNS published the interim rules entitled Certification of Compliance with the New Meal Pattern Requirement for National School Lunch Program way back in April of 2012. So this interim rule established the requirements for the certification of school food authorities for that additional 6 cents per lunch reimbursement, and that rule became effective on July 1st of 2012. I want to inform all of you this morning there is going to be an updated new worksheet that will be available very soon from USDA. It has not been released yet to the public. We expect it any day now, but until that new worksheet is released with the new updated sodium limits and the whole grain rich requirements for all grains, we're going to be demonstrating using that current version that's available to us. So as soon as the new worksheet is revised and it's available to the public, we're going to update our webinar presentation using the new updated worksheet. And we'll do this webinar again using that new updated worksheet. So let me just go ahead and move on through. What I'm going to share with you are just some definitions that you need to be familiar with. And I bet most of you are familiar with it, but just so you know what we're talking about, if you can kind of look over that list, just know that SFA is School Food Authority. So that's your school, whoever is operating the school meal program. Sometimes we might refer to the SFA as the sponsor or the LEA. And again, you can see that all refers to you, to the school. USDA is United States Department of Agriculture. ODE is the Ohio Department of Education. OCN is Office for Child Nutrition. And NSLP is the National School Lunch Program. So all school food authorities were expected to have this completed before June 30th of 2014. So if you have not completed the 6th Sense certification process yet, you need to do it immediately. It has to be done this year. And again, I'm going to state that if you already started the worksheets and have them ready for either August or the month of September, if you have them completed, I strongly recommend that you submit them in KURS just as soon as possible, because these worksheets, once they're updated, then you'll have to fill it out again using the new worksheets with the sodium limitations. So if you're almost done with it, polish it up and get that submitted in KURS if you're using our current worksheet that is available for you right now. Now, I'm just going to do a very quick review. We're going to kind of just look at this lunch meal pattern chart. I just want to make sure that you understand it. And I know most of you are familiar with it. But here on the screen is the lunch meal pattern chart. And if you look at it, you see that the last three columns of the chart illustrate the amount that's required for the lunch meal pattern for those different age grade groupings. So you've got K through 5, 6 through 8, 9 through 12, or you can do a combination for K through 8. So just look at fruits. Look at the first component on the left side and look at the fruit component. You see that the minimum weekly requirement for fruit is 2.5 cups for grades K through 5 as well as grades 6 through 8, with a minimum of 5 cups per week for grades 9 through 12. And grades K through 5 and 6 through 8 have a minimum daily amount of a half cup. That is shown in the parentheses next to that. And grades 9 through 12 have a minimum cup of 1 cup per day. So that is how you read that chart. I won't spend a lot of time on it, but if you have questions about it, make sure that you ask me. I'll be glad to answer your questions about the meal chart. This little chart that you're looking at is just showing the overlap for K through 8 menu planning, because these two grade groups have very similar servings for their fruit, vegetables, and milk, and then they have an overlap for their meat alternative and for the grains. So the menus for these two different grade groups, they're almost identical. So it's just the grade 6 through 8 group requires just an additional servings of the meat alternative or the grain. So just want to make sure that you're aware of that. So just a little review there. I also want to point out, and hopefully you printed this off at some time, but we did provide it with this webinar. You had a copy of the SP 31 2012 memo, that Q&A, or the question and answer related to the certification compliance with the meal requirements. It's all about the 6 Sense certification process. It's really good if you haven't ever done the worksheets that you read through this. We also provided you with the SP 10 2010. It was just revised again this year in August. And that is the Q&A, the question and answers for the school breakfast and lunch program. And as I said, that was just recently updated. So if you need copies of either one of these, you can go to USDA's webpage. And I'm going to give you the address if you don't know it. USDA's webpage is www.fns.usda.gov, G-O-V, and you click on Child Nutrition and click on National School Lunch Program. On the left side, you'll see Program Policies. It's way over on the left. Click on that, and you can look at any of the memos that are available through USDA that you're interested in viewing. Okay, so we're going to kind of move on. This is just another reminder with the menu plan. This has been out since 2012, but we did move to a single food-based menu planning approach, and that was required with lunches starting in 2012, back in July of 2012. So this approach just simplifies the menu planning, and hopefully it serves as a teaching tool that helps kids choose balanced meals on their own. And it does ensure that students nationwide have access to all those key food groups that are recommended by the dietary guidelines. We think it also will make it easier for the schools to communicate what the meal improvements are to parents and to the community. It simplifies program management, and we're all kind of using the same program. So the age grade groupings, they're much narrower now to provide age-appropriate meals. However, this rule does allow some flexibility to schools that have those different grade configurations. So this rule does permit a school to use one meal pattern for students in grades K through 8 because of those overlapping qualities with the K through 5 through 6 through 8 menu planning. I just want to remind you, though, if you do this, it really requires careful planning to ensure the requirements are met for both of those age grade groups. So that's our quick review. We're just going to kind of move on, and we're going to talk about the responsibilities of the school food authorities with the certification process. So let's just jump right in there. School food authorities have to demonstrate compliance with those menu pattern requirements that are in effect at the time that you apply for certification. So while most of the updates were effective in 2012, we had some requirements that were phased in later during 2013 school year, and again, some new ones this year. The most recent is the sodium requirements and the whole grain rich requirements with your whole grains. So that is new this year, and as soon as that worksheet's available, that's what you're going to be using. So just to kind of review, an SFA that applied back in 2012, they had to demonstrate that they were in compliance with all of the 2012 requirements in order to be certified. So any SFA that's applying for certification this year needs to demonstrate compliance with all the requirements from 2012, from 2013, and then this year's requirements. And again, you have to demonstrate compliance with both breakfast and lunch if your school district offers breakfast program. So, and again, just a reminder, the sodium limits and the whole grain requirements for grain products, whole grain rich requirements, does go into effect for 2014-15. Now, if you've done your worksheets and you're ready to submit this month's menu or the previous month's menu, do it right away. Do it right away, because once USDA releases that updated 6 cents worksheet, you're going to be expected to submit the new updated worksheet for certification this year. It's just a little bit of more work putting in your sodium limits and just checking off that everything is whole grain rich. So we expect that updated certification worksheet any day now. I can't tell you when, but it will be very, very soon. Okay, let's look at your certification option. Now, you can be certified through 2 different options in Ohio. And I want to point out that both these options include 1 week of menus, a menu worksheet, and some sort of nutrient assessment. The basic difference between those 2 options are in what type of nutrient assessment is conducted and who completes the assessment. These options were designed to use to the maximum extent practical existing processes and information. So all options require that the certification worksheet be completed, and it has to be sent electronically in KURS to ODE, to our child nutrition program. So we're going to look at option 1. And option 1 allows a school food authority to submit 1 week of menus, detailed menu worksheets showing the food items, and then the quantities for breakfast and lunches, and a nutrient analysis of calories and saturated fat. SFAs that choose this option have to submit 1 week of each distinct menu type by their age grade group, and a detailed menu worksheet for each menu showing the food components and the quantities by the reimbursable meal. So I'm going to explain what is meant by menu types after we go through these options. School food authorities that choose this option must use the Food Nutrition Services Approved Nutrient Analysis Software. So this option acknowledges that a large number of SFAs already use some type of nutrient analysis software to monitor their nutrient levels in their meals. So if you have a program such as Meals Plus or NutriKids, where you have a nutrient analysis program that you use to do your own nutrient analysis, you can submit that with option 1. Now let's look at option 2. Here is option 2, and this is what most of our SFAs use. This allows you to submit 1 week of menus, your detailed menu worksheet showing your food items and quantities for breakfast and lunch, and then it also allows you a simplified nutrient assessment. So SFAs that choose this option have to submit the same thing as option 1. It's 1 week of each distinct menu type by your age grade group, a detailed menu worksheet for each menu showing food components and the quantities by the reimbursable meal. This option acknowledges that not all SFAs use some type of nutrient analysis software. The simplified nutrient assessment is intended to be a proxy for the nutrient analysis. In the simplified nutrient assessment, it assumes certain nutrient values for your milk, your vegetables, and your fruit. It's already programmed in there. So the SFA just has to enter information about your entrees and your grains to assess compliance. I mentioned that each option requires the SFA to submit each type of menu offered within the SFA. So this means for each certification option, SFAs must submit 1 week of each menu that's offered for both breakfast and lunch within the SFA by their age grade group. So there's an example on your screen if you follow along with me. If an SFA serves an elementary, middle, and high school menu for lunch and 1 menu for all 3 age grade groups for breakfast, the SFA must submit 4 menus and 4 menu worksheets. If the SFA serves multiple distinct menus within 1 age grade group, such as having 2 different high school menus, then the SFA must submit all the menus that are served along with those worksheets. Okay, SFAs must submit documentation that reflects their current practices. So this means documentation must reflect meal service in that calendar month that certification materials are submitted, or you can do the preceding month, the preceding calendar month of submission. So let me give you an example. If an SFA submits documentation this month for September, of course it's September 30th, if you did it today, the menus have to reflect your meal service either in September or the previous month of August. So if you submit tomorrow in October, you could submit it for the month of September or October. SFA should be reminded that the materials provided, they're supposed to be a snapshot of your meal service activity and are considered to be representatives of your ongoing meal service. And just this is the last time I'll remind you, but we want to make sure you're clear. Again, a reminder that if your worksheets are almost completed and ready to submit them right away in KURS before USDA releases that revised update worksheet, because otherwise you have to do the new worksheet if you submit after they are released. Okay, we will move on. Again, this is just another example just to make sure that you understand. Say you submit your menus in April, then it's going to be a menu that reflects your meal plans for either the preceding month of March or for the current month of April. So we just want to make sure you understand it's the current month or the preceding month. So that's why we keep kind of repeating it. But we will move on now. We're going to talk about the attestation. There we go. So as part of the certification, school food authorities must attest that they're in compliance with all current meal pattern requirements. Documentation has to be representative of the ongoing menu service within the school food authority, and the minimum required food quantities for all meal components are available to the students in every serving line. So this attestation is just part of the certification worksheet that you have to submit in KURS. Okay, at the time with attestation, at the time of certification, school food authorities must also annually attest up to this year, till 2014, that they're in compliance with the meal pattern requirements as each of these new requirements are phased in. So the attestation must be provided to the state agency in an addendum to the permanent written agreement between the states and the school food authority. And on the next screen, we have a picture of what that attestation looks like. And I can show you where to find that. It's on our website with the 6 Sense certification. So I can kind of show that to you if you need help with finding it. I'm just going to summarize here just a few things, just a few questions. So can a school food authority opt out of the 6 Sense reimbursement? And you see the answer is no. All school food authorities are required to meet that new meal pattern requirement. And if you have not done it over the last 2 years, it must be submitted this school year. The next question, does an SFA have to be in compliance with both breakfast and lunch requirements to be certified? The answer is yes, because the Healthy Hunger Kids Free Act provides the 6 cents per lunch reimbursement for compliance with updated menu patterns that are effective at the time of certification for both breakfast and lunch. The next question, are the school food authorities that serve pre-K meals required to submit documentation for preschool meals? No, but they must attest that the meals they serve are compliant with the most current meal patterns for that age grade group being served. And the last question you see is, can the SFA use certification tools created by software companies? And the answer to that, yes, but only if those tools are the ones that are approved by the Food Nutrition Services. There are some other tools that USDA has available, but Ohio does use USDA's tool from their website. That is the one that we are currently using. So I'm going to just move on. I can probably stop to see if there's any questions. I'm going to keep moving on through one more section. Let me go through this section, and I'll pause for questions. So just about 5 more minutes for questions. So this is the next part that we're going to move on in the presentation. It's the orientation and introduction to the 6 cent certification worksheet. So I just kind of want to just explain a little bit about it, then I'll kind of open up for questions. Okay, I did mention that Ohio uses the 6 cent certification worksheet tool that is provided by USDA, but there are other worksheets that are available that we could use. And before we talk about using the menu worksheets, one of the most basic features I want everyone to understand, there's 2 parts to the certification worksheet. First, there's a menu assessment, and then the second is that simplified nutrient assessment. And the menu assessment, as I kind of unofficially call it, in summary, it assesses all the meal components that were offered. That includes the weekly amounts of whole grain-rich items, your vegetable subgroups, and then your milk variety. It also assesses the limits on juice, your dessert-based grains, and the milk fat. And finally, it assesses the weekly minimums to make sure that you met those requirements. The menu worksheets are always required. You always have to do this part of the worksheet. The simplified nutrient assessment, that's the other part of it, that assesses the dietary specifications that are in place for 2014-15 school year. And those are the calories and the saturated fat, and soon to include the sodium limits that we have for our different age grade groups. Just a few facts so you know. The certification worksheets were developed in Microsoft Excel 97 2003 version. School food authorities, you have to save your work. So first thing you want to do when you open up your worksheet is to save it. Give it a name. Give it a name so you can find it and it's easily identified by the reviewer who will be reviewing your worksheet. So give it a name and save often as you work on it. And then you do have to submit the worksheets in KURS, and I will show you that kind of towards the very end of this presentation, how to actually submit it. I'll walk you through and let you know where you can find the directions. The 6 cent certification is district-based, and all the menu types within the district must be submitted for certification. You submit them all at one time. So just individual schools within your districts can't apply as individuals for the 6 cents reimbursement. So again, we stated this earlier, but I want to make sure you know that every unique breakfast or lunch menu plan that's offered in your district or at your school must be entered into a worksheet using the new worksheet for each different menu type. So just kind of give you an example. Say you have a grade K through 5 breakfast, a K through 5 lunch, and a grade 6 through 8 breakfast. USDA provides you with a total of 8 different menu worksheets. So there will be 4 for lunch and 4 for breakfast. And I'll show you those in just a few minutes. So this worksheet does not assess compliance on a per-serving line basis, all reimbursable meals must be entered in one worksheet, one menu type. Separate from that menu worksheet, school food authorities must sign that attestation stating that each serving line is in compliance with the meal pattern. The certification is based on offered menus, what you actually offer the kids. Don't consider offer versus serve options there. Report the full offering of your fruits and vegetables on the menu, not what the child typically selects. So the worksheet is not weighted in any way. At a minimum, complete a separate certification worksheet for each of those 3 grade groups, K through 5, 6 through 8, 9 through 12. A separate certification worksheet has been developed for both breakfast and for lunch, but there is also a K through 8 worksheet that's available for single menu use. And for breakfast, you do have a K through 12 breakfast worksheet that is available for you. So remember that you have to submit menu worksheets for each distinct menu type for both breakfast and lunch. So again, if there's more than one menu type per grade group, the SFA must submit a different worksheet for each different menu type. And just give you an example, if there's 2 different elementary school menus, then you would have 2 different K through 5 worksheets would be required. If multiple schools within the same grade group are served by one single menu, then only one worksheet would be required. The worksheet is programmed based on a 5-day school week. So you want to pick a week where you have 5 operating school weeks, or at least a 5 menu plans, 5-day menu plan available. So the school food authority should contact ODE, your state agency, for any alternate worksheets if you're operating on a shorter or longer week. And some of the RCCIs do use the 7-day worksheets. So you don't want to submit a menu worksheet for a holiday week, because that doesn't represent your typical week, the 5-day work week. And let's see, and just to let you know, certifications for breakfast, again, that does include your documentation for your breakfast meal pattern and that nutrient standard for breakfast. This is just some of the materials that you need to have ready. If you haven't done the worksheet, this is what you need to gather up and have at your fingertips. So you want to pick 1-week menu, make sure you have 5 operating days. You need to know your portion sizes for all of the reimbursable menu items. So you're going to be recording in cups for your fruit, vegetable, milk, your ounce equivalency for your grains, and ounces for meat or meat alternatives. You're going to have your CN labels or your recipes or the USDA food facts or some type of nutrient information that you have to have available for all of your main dishes and your side items and your condiments and your desserts. So plan on getting that ready for that week. And you do have to have your production records because you need to be able to show about how many servings that you served of those different items. So I kind of covered a lot. Let me pause just for a minute before I really get into the menu worksheets. Does anyone have any questions so far? Christine, can you open it up for questions, and let me see if anybody has a question so far.
Sure. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question, please press star, then 1 on your touch-tone phone. If you are using a speakerphone, you may need to pick up the handset first before pressing the numbers. So once again, if you have a question, please press star, then 1 on your phone now. And our first question is from Caleb Duty. Please go ahead.
Yeah, my question is, how is this different from the SMI? Basically, why are we doing something above and beyond? Because the SMI is that detailed. I know it's every 3 years, but what's the logic behind having this specific worksheet?
Well, USDA wants to show that you are in compliance before they grant you the 6 cents per meal reimbursement. So they required that we do this worksheet. Now, it's done one time and one time only, and then you're 6 Cents certified if everything is done correctly for verifying that your menus are in compliance. And you do it for every single menu plan that you have in your district. With the SMI, that is just part of the CRE review, and that's done once every 3 years. It's just done for one menu plan, for one age grade group, and that is just part of the CRE review. So that's basically the difference, and I know it seems redundant, but you do need to do this 6 Cents certification and be 6 Cents certified.
I got you. Thank you.
I hope I answered that question for you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for calling in.
Thank you. And our next question is from Champagne Harris. Please go ahead.
I actually have a couple questions. My first one was about the dates we're allowed to use. I'm actually brand new to my program. This is my second week working, so the menus that I'm going off of someone else planned. If I do October, may I do the first week of October even though I haven't served that food yet?
You know, you can go ahead and work on it, and then once it's served, then go ahead and put in your amounts that were served. So you can get it ready and use the first week in October, start getting it ready, and then fill in exactly what you actually did serve that week and the quantities. And you'll get that information from your food production record. So if you haven't started it yet, I want to tell you, I hate for you to use these worksheets, and then, you know, the new worksheet comes out in a week or two with the sodium limits on there, and then you have to resubmit it all. So if you have one ready for September, I would go ahead and get that done this week and get it submitted. But if you're starting new, you might want to wait for the new version of this worksheet with the sodium limits, just so you don't have to redo it again. So that's kind of my advice to you.
Okay. And my other question was, you had stated that certification is district-based. I work for a private Catholic school. Are we still considered part of the Cambridge City School District, or are we in our own partition?
If you have your own IRN number and you're the sponsor, did you fill out the sponsor application form for your school?
I think that the kitchen management had that completed when I got here, but I think they did.
Okay, so you are just a one-site sponsor, basically. So you
Right.
fill it out for your school. Now, if you have different grade levels, are you 7 through 12 or K through 8?
We're K through 8.
K through 8. You can do the K through 8 worksheet if you'd like, or you can do K through 5 and do another worksheet that's 6 through 8. But I would recommend you do K through 8 worksheet if you have a K through 8 menu that you use.
Okay. Yes, we do.
All right. Do you have another question? Is that all?
Yeah. Actually, yes, that's all.
Okay. Thank you for calling in.
Thanks.
Thank you. And our next question is from Chastity McFan. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I also have a couple different questions. I know you said that we only have to do this one time.
Yes.
What would happen if we enter all this information and it comes back and says that we are not in compliance? Does that mean we just don't get the extra 6 cents, or does that mean we have to redo until we do comply?
Well, you will redo it. You will make the corrections. What will happen is you will submit this in KURS, and we have a program. We have a consulting company. It's called Right Bite. They will have your contact information, and they will email you if you're missing something. Maybe you forgot to put in one of the menus, or there's an issue with the worksheet that you need to put in more information or correct. They will respond back and forth so that you have a chance to correct your work.
Okay.
So you're not certified until it is correct, and you do show compliance. And once you're approved, we will start giving you the 6 cents reimbursement.
Okay. And then my next question is, I know you keep letting us know that there is a new version of the worksheet.
Yes.
If we are able to get all of our information put in on this old one that you're getting ready to show us, and we are in compliance, when the new version comes on, do we have to redo that as well?
Not if you have it submitted in KURS. So the day you submit it, that's what we accept.
Okay.
So if you submit your worksheet, though, after the new worksheet comes out and is available, you won't be able to use these old ones. The new ones will require the sodium limits on there and just clicking the button showing that all your grains are whole grain rich.
Okay.
So it is going to be revised soon. We expect it any day. If you have not started the worksheets, then you might want to wait for the new one to come out, which I can't give you a date.
Right.
But I just know it should be very, very soon. But if you have them done, get them in there. Get them in there right away.
All right. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Thank you. And our next question is from John Luce. Please go ahead.
Can you hear me okay? I hope you can. I thank you for your time. Two things. One is in regards to submitting the work forms, if we do wait for the new form, there will be no back pay on the 6 cents, correct? In other words, it'll start from the date submitted. I think you just clarified that with the last question, but I wanted to be clear.
That is right. So if you submit your worksheets and they're correct, now they do have, I think it's 6 weeks to review it and respond back, but it's effective the date that you submitted, that it was approved, you will get that 6 cents reimbursement. So if you can hurry and get it done, that's great. But if you haven't started, it's up to you. It's your decision. You may want to wait for the new one so that you're not caught in the middle. So if you stop and go and still have to gather up your nutrient information, it might take you a week or 2 or 3 to collect all this information and submit the worksheet. Within the next month that might be released. It could be released within a few days. We just don't know. But once it's released, then you do have to submit the updated worksheet.
Okay. I have another question. I'm not sure. Maybe I misunderstood looking at the email. But the slide deck that you're actually showing us here on today's program, was that actual slide deck available that we could copy that off to? I copied off all the pertinent information. But sometimes it's nice to actually have the slide deck to take notes on because you have something I'm writing it and trying to listen right at the same time.
Yeah. And it's gonna be posted again. We have the webinar posted, so you can review it. We're just updating it this year. We were hoping when we scheduled this webinar that the new worksheet would have been released by soon. However, it's not available yet, and we were hoping that it would be available. This one's being recorded so you can listen to it again and go through the webinar again. And I'll give you contact information at the end so that if you have questions or need assistance, you can call us, one of the state consultants, to kind of help walk you through it.
Okay, yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah, I just look at the actual slide deck to take additional notes on. That's just my way of doing things sometimes.
Okay. So. Well, maybe we'll send it to you ahead of time with the next webinar.
Okay.
Thank
you for your help.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And our next question is from LaWanda Engelman. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I have 2 questions. I just want to clarify, you said that there was a K-8 worksheet for lunch and also the K-8 worksheet for breakfast?
Yes, well, there's also a K-12 worksheet available as well. So I'll kind of show you those worksheets so you can kind of see those when we open up to actually do the worksheet. I'm going to demonstrate that this morning.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify because I only found the K-8 lunch. I couldn't find the K-8 breakfast. I found K-5 and 6 through 8.
K-12. Yeah, there's a K-12 breakfast worksheet. And You can use that even if you only have K through 8 or K through 9, or you could use that worksheet. Okay.
Okay. And then my second question is, we have uploaded our worksheets, and they came back not approved. What is the time frame on when we'll be contacted to be able to do the corrections?
Well, if you recently submitted it, either in August or September, you can make the corrections right away. If it's not a current menu, say you submitted a year ago and you had corrections and then never got back to responding and correcting it, then you have to use a current menu from August or September. Now we're moving into October, so I should say October or September because tomorrow is October 1st. So you're going to have to use a menu plan. If you submit tomorrow, it's going to have to be for September, or sometime if you submit in October, it can be for October or September. So it has to be current. Right. So if those corrections are months old, you have to update it with the current menu that you're using, the current month or the previous month.
Okay, we submitted like 2 weeks ago for September, but we just see that it's not approved, but we haven't gotten any type of, clarification on what's not approved. What did we do wrong? We haven't heard from anybody.
Okay, now, if you haven't heard back, no one's contacted you, you might be fine. They just haven't gotten to it yet. They have 6 weeks that they have to respond and get those menus either approved or let you know that there's an issue. If you're not real sure and you want to contact RightBite, I'm looking up the number for you. Here is their phone number. If any of you want to write this down, RightBite, again, is the consulting company that approves the 6 cents process for us. Their number is 1-855-749-2368. So let me say it again. It's 1-855-749-2368. Or you can send them an email. You can go to 6 cents, CENTS, at the RightBite, TheRightBite.com. So you can check on your progress to make sure that you know that if there is an issue where they let you know, make sure they have your contact information, and just kind of check on the progress.
Okay, and then in KURS, will it show that it's pending, or will it show just not approved until they get to it?
Well, it's pending approval till they approve it, and it'll change when it is approved. And I think we usually send out a congratulation letter notifying you that you are approved for the 6 cent certification.
Okay, so I just want to make sure because our menu status says not approved, so I was trying to make sure.
Then it has not been approved yet. And if it's been a few weeks, you're certainly welcome to call them and check on it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and we do have another question from Champagne Harris. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I just listened to other people's questions. I realized I had one other one. I overheard you saying that this is a one-time only thing. It was my understanding that this was something that we were going to be required to do annually.
Okay.
Is that the case?
With the 6 cent submission in KURS, it's done one time. Now, I will tell you, just so you know, some schools do this every year. They check their menus to make sure they're in compliance, and they love using this worksheet. They have recycle menus. They put each of the recycle menus in their worksheet, and then if they have substitutions or move things around because of snow days or whatever, they check again to make sure that they are in compliance. And you are welcome to use this every year if you'd like for your own benefit, but you only submit it to ODE one time. And then we review every 3 years. We do an SMI nutrient analysis on 1 week of menu. So every 3 years when we do your CRE review, Again, we're doing nutrient analysis to make sure that your menus are in compliance and meeting all of the nutrient requirements. But the 6th Sense certification is a one-time thing. So you submit it one time, you get approved. Now, if your menus are found not to be in compliance, you could lose your 6th Sense certification. But hopefully that won't happen. So it's just one time. So you just submit it the one time.
Okay. All right. And then another question is.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Another question is in regard to the SNI. I had recently just gone through some of my paperwork, and I don't remember seeing that or a copy of it or record of it. Is there somewhere where I could check and see when that was done and when it's due again?
You wanted to see your SMI results? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, or just at the very least give a date as to when my next one will be due.
Well, if you had one last year, you're going to have another CRE and SMI review in 3 years. So it's every 3rd year. So you had one last year. And if you had no corrective action, you didn't have to respond back. So I'm assuming that you did all right. I'm not sure. But we can check on that. But CN Resources is our consulting company that does the SMI reviews for us. I'll give you a phone number if you want to check on it.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Here it is. It's 1-866-941-6368. And I'll repeat it. It's 1-866-941-6368. And that's CN Resources, Child Nutrition Resources, that does the SMI.
Thank you very, 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 very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Any other questions?
We have no further questions at this time.
Okay. Well, then I am going to try to move on, and I'm actually going to start to begin the demonstration. However, I'm going to go through these PowerPoint slides so you can see snapshots. Before I open it up, I'm going to explain each one. I'm going to make sure that you know where to find the worksheet. So if you're looking at your screen, there are several ways. What we did is we put on there, if you would go to USDA's website, you can put in that following web address on your screen that you see. So you can write that down. I'll give you just a minute to write it down if you're writing. Or you can go to ODE's website as well, to our food and nutrition website, which I think is a lot easier. Most of you are more familiar with the ODE website at www.education.ohio.gov, and you just go to food and nutrition, and you type in a search box. Just type in the number 6 and the word CENTS, C-E-N-T-S. If you type that in the search box, you will then open up, you click on the 6th Sense certification and kind of scroll down to the middle where it says Certification of Compliance, and I'm going to show you that way to get into it. You'll see the Excel worksheets for 5 days or 4 days or 7 days. You're going to click on the 5-day worksheets, and then you click for the age grade group that's appropriate for your school menus that you want to submit. I just want to remind you, make sure you save your worksheets, name them with the school name and the age grade group so that it's easy to identify each of the worksheets, and then save it to your desktop or to your documents, and make sure that you save often, because I know a lot of times when you're working on these, you get interrupted. So you want to save them. Let me go through some special considerations that you need to know before we begin working on the worksheet. So I think you're all aware of this, but I'm just going to go over it. Some of your vegetables and fruits do not credit on a volume as a served basis. For example, 1 cup credits as 1 cup. Your dried fruits credit as twice the volume served. So if you serve a fourth a cup of raisins, it's going to credit as a half a cup of fruit. Now, your raw leafy green vegetables, they credit as half the volume served. So if you serve spinach salad, 1 cup of spinach salad is going to credit as half a cup of the green vegetable. So it credits as half of the amount served. So we just want to make sure that you understand that. And when you're filling out the worksheet, you're going to put in the amount that it credits as. And I will kind of show that to you during the worksheet. So the first tab that we're going to work with when we open up, it's called the All Meals tab. And the reason it's called the All Meals tab is because you are going, on this tab, you are going to put in all of your meals that you offer for the week. So you kind of have to give them a name. So maybe your meal name would be pizza, or your meal name might be chicken nuggets. You put in your reimbursable meal plan for that week. So the first column, you're going to put the meal name, whatever you name it. So we're named 1 cheese pizza. You're going to put in the quantities of your ounce for meats and meat alternatives. You're going to put in your ounce equivalency of grains and whether it's a whole grain rich product and your grain-based desserts. Then you put in the cup serving sizes of fruit that you offered that the kids could take. And then you put in the vegetables that were offered that the kids could take, and then you put in your milk. That's all in cup sizes. So the worksheet does provide little warnings. If the text you entered is, if the number's too high, the one that usually pops up is milk. It'll ask you how many cups of milk. You should put 1, but for some reason people put 8, thinking it's 8 ounces. So you'll get these little warnings that might show up. Let me just show you a snapshot of what the All Meals tab worksheet looks like so you recognize it. And I know this is small, but this is just kind of a snapshot of what it looks like. And you can kind of see on the left side you've got lines to put all of your meals, however many meals that you offer on a day or during the week. All of your meals goes on the All Meal key for the entire week. And we'll show that to you in just a few minutes. Just some special consideration with the All Meal key. Want to make sure I'm real clear that you enter foods that are offered, not offer versus serve, or not what the kids took. You enter the food that's offered and the maximum amount that's available to the students to take. So if you are in elementary school and you offer half a serving of carrots and half a serving of green beans, and they can take both, you actually offer, and the kids can take a full cup if they wanted it, even though only 3/4 is required. So just kind of wanted to point that out. And I also want to just point out some troubled areas with your vegetable subgroup. So this slide has an example of one. If you just look at vegetable subgroup example 1. So say on the Monday menu you offer a spinach pizza, and that has a 4th cup of spinach on it, and then you offer a side of broccoli. It's a half a cup broccoli. That's your 3/4 cup of vegetables for the day. 4th cup of spinach on the pizza and the half cup of broccoli. So that child has an opportunity to select pizza and broccoli. So the result is you add the amount of spinach and broccoli for 3/4 cup of a dark green vegetable. You would select the 3/4 cup in the first drop-down box. That's the largest amount of green vegetables a student could select. If 2 items are offered and the child cannot select both, then do not add that amount of spinach and broccoli together because the student can't take both of those items. So this also applies if more than one side dish with dark green vegetables is offered and the students are instructed just to take one choice of a green vegetable. Let's look at example 2 so you can see the difference. Vegetable subgroup 2 example. Now the menu offers a spinach pizza with a 4th cup spinach, and it offers broccoli souffle, another entree, with half a cup of broccoli. So the child has an opportunity. They have to either select the pizza or the souffle as their entree. So actually they can't take both of them. So you don't add the spinach and broccoli together. So the largest amount of green vegetable they could get would be a half cup if they took that souffle. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that. Just another note, these are special notes, there's some little navigation tools that are helpful. The food components are all color-coded for you. It just makes life a little bit easier to see the different components, and you'll see that on the worksheet. You use the left, right, and the up and down scroll bars on the side to get to different sections on each of the tabs. And I'll show that. I'll point that out to you so that you can see that. Now, I want to make sure that you know the top row on most of the sheets is frozen. That's where you've got your list of your vegetable subgroups so that you can see those column names. So sometimes people think information disappeared. Just scroll back up to the top and it'll reappear. And I'll show you that just so that you're familiar with it. Let me go through a few more tabs with the menu assessment part, just so that you're aware of it. We're going to jump in here in about 5 minutes. If you have a vegetable bar in your schools, it's optional. You don't have to fill it out, but it's a nice little feature that they have provided to you. It saves you some time if you offer some type of garden vegetable bar every day. So what you do is you fill this out. There's a snapshot on it on the screen. You fill it out with the appropriate use that would be that schools, if you serve the same vegetables more than one day a week, or if you serve a vegetable bar every day. So in this image here that you see on your screen, you can see the different colored columns which stand for the different colored subgroups of vegetables. And you just kind of fill that out. And the boxes within them are for entering the different vegetable subgroups. And I'll kind of demonstrate that so you know what that looks like. Now, if you do use that option, then what you do is when you get to a specific day of the week, you check if the vegetable bar was offered that day. And it's hard to see on the screen, but they're in between those two green bars on the white writing, there's a little checkbox that you would just have to check that to say, yep, I offered that vegetable salad bar with those vegetables that day. So some schools may offer vegetables on the serving line in addition to the vegetable bars. Sometimes they have a vegetable bar and then they offer, a hot vegetable on a different serving line. They would simply report those vegetables under the All Meals tab key, which I'm going to show you in just a few minutes here. Hang in there. I just want to point out, too, there's some nice little calculator tools. They're right on the worksheet. So this one, as you can see, this is a built-in fraction calculator, and I'll use it so that you can see how to use it. So, say you had several different vegetables that you want to add up for the day, it'll do it for you. So say you had an eighth a cup of vegetable, and a fourth a cup of a different kind of vegetable, and another fourth cup of another vegetable. You can plug all that in and it'll total it for you. So an eighth plus a fourth cup equals 5/8. It'll do it for you so you don't have to do the math. Right below there's a decimal fraction converter. So if you enter a decimal, say you enter 0.25, it'll convert it for you as 1/4 cup. And so it's just there to help. You don't have to use it. You can do the math yourself if you have any math to figure out. But I just want to point out that it's available to you. There are daily meal tabs. When you get the all meal key filled out, and I'll do that for you. I'm going to demonstrate a menu for you. Then you have the daily meal tabs down at the bottom, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for the 5 days. So you select the reimbursable meal that was offered each day. It'll be on a drop-down box because you already loaded in all your meals for the week on the all meal key. So you're going to select which meal or meals that were offered, say, on Monday. So, and each meal has a different row. So the worksheet checks if your daily meat or meat alternative, your grains, fruit, and vegetable milk requirements are met. So you're looking for green boxes to show up. It'll be red if you didn't meet the daily requirement on one of those. So we'll look at that in just a few minutes as well. This is just a little snapshot. This is Monday. This is what it looks like, and you can kind of see there will be a little drop-down box for each of the meals that you offer. So if you only offered one meal on Monday, you click that drop-down box, and you just fill out line 1. You fill it out with that meal served Monday. If you offer the meal plus you also offered, say, peanut butter and jelly that day as a choice, and maybe you offered chef salad as a choice, you might have 3 different types of meals that were available to the kids on Monday. And I'll show you how to fill all that out, just a little bit of information about the daily meal tabs. You can scroll to the right. When you scroll to the right, you have to put in the daily vegetable subgroup data. And I'll show you how to do that. You select the largest amount of each subgroup that was offered to students that day, and you select the name and quantity of each of the vegetables in that vegetable subgroup from the drop-down boxes. I'll show you how to do that too. So if a vegetable is not listed, you can enter the name yourself in unspecified area down below, but most of the vegetable groups are now in there. So let me show you. This is still on the Daily Meal tab. If you scroll to the right, this is what you would see. This is a snapshot picture of how to enter the vegetable subgroups in the Daily tab that I'm going to demonstrate for you, and this is Monday's tab. There's going to be a few pop-ups that come up in yellow. Sometimes they wake people up and they don't know what that is. They're either friendly reminders or they are error flags that I mentioned earlier. So the one that you see on your screen, this just tells you to enter the amount of the credible amount of a leafy vegetable. So when you click on romaine, it wants to remind you, just a friendly reminder, enter in the credible amount, not the amount you served, but the credible amount. So if you serve 2 cups of romaine, it credits as 1 cup. So you're going to put in 1 cup. The credible amount. And there's other warnings that come up. This one might wake you up a little bit, but you see yellow when you enter. I think it's on the, maybe the dark greens. It wants to know what the dark green was if it's unspecified. I know there's one, too, on the bean lagoon. It just wants to make sure that that bean or lagoon credits as a vegetable, not as a meat alternative. So you have all those little warnings. When you get everything entered, you will get a weekly report at the very end, and you want to have all green boxes. All this is a summary of what you served all week. So at the very end of your menu assessment, the last part you see is that weekly report. This tab compiles all the daily and weekly information to check if all the requirements have been met. So there's columns for Monday through Friday. There's weekly totals, weekly requirements in cups or ounces or ounce equivalency, and the weekly requirement checkout on the left side of the sheet in rows that are your food components. And I'll show this to you in just a few minutes. The Monday, Friday columns show the amount of each component entered each day of the week, and then your weekly totals, which is kind of a light gray color, it lists the amount of the components offered over the entire 5-day week. So to the very right of the weekly requirements, it'll be a kind of a beige yellow color. The weekly requirement checks become green, yes, if the requirements were met for the week, and no if they were not met. So this tab, it'll also assess your weekly requirements for the fruit juice and vegetable juice that no more than half of the weekly offering of fruit is in the form of juice. It'll assess your grain-based desserts to make sure that no more than 2 or fewer ounce equivalencies of bread were served during the week. The whole grain rich, it'll make sure that all of your grains are whole grain rich. And for the grain meat alternatives, the daily minimum and maximum offerings are all shown. So it shows you everything. Well, I should say the minimums. There's no maximum on grain or meats anymore. So it'll show you that you met all of your minimum requirements. And let me show you what that looks like. This is just a snapshot of it, and I just want to point out this one has all green boxes except do you see the red on Tuesday? This is a high school worksheet. They did not serve 1 full cup of vegetable on Tuesday. So this menu, this isn't in compliance because they have a little red block there. They did not meet all of the guidelines. So you need all green blocks, all green. Now if you've got red and you already served that menu, it didn't meet the requirements. If you haven't served it yet, you could add, in this case it says 7/8 cup, you could add another 1/8 cup of a vegetable when you go to serve this menu. And the last thing I just want to kind of point out before I open up the worksheet, there are hyperlinks that you can go back and forth and use within the worksheet. It just helps you quickly reference your resources and kind of speeds up completion of the worksheet. So just for an example, on each tab, the School Food Authority can find a link to that weekly report. So just if you want to monitor your progress as you're putting things on. And likewise, the weekly report has links to the daily tabs if the School Food Authority finds an error or a red notification and would like to go back and kind of to change things. So there's also a link to the food buying guide on here, to the food buying guide calculator. There's a link to the vegetable subgroup list for quick referencing if you're not sure what subgroup your vegetables are in. So all of that is available to you if you want to use it. Now, you have to bear through. I'm going to go ahead, if it's all right with all of you, I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate this. We're open for questions after I show you the menu assessment part of it. So this is the time that you want to get that high school menu plan out. It should be 1 page back and front or 2 pages. It's a very simple worksheet. So I'm going to just give you a second while I'm switching over. You have to be patient with me. I am going to go online on the website and actually open up a worksheet. Hopefully it won't take too long. So be patient with me as I switch back. I'm going to share my desktop with you so you can follow along and watch me fill out this worksheet. So let me go ahead and go back here. And I am going to go ahead and share my desktop. Oh, let's see. And hopefully you can all see this now. I am just going right here, I am going to our website. So this is ODE's website. Let me just scroll down a little bit here. So I'm on our website, and I'm going to do a search. I'm going to type in 6 cents. And I think this is the best way to get to it, but you can go through USDA's website. And let me go ahead and bring this up so you can see where to find the worksheets. So I'm going to click on 6 Cents Certification, New Meal Pattern Resources. It's the first one. I am going to scroll down till I find the Certification of Compliance Excel worksheets. So it's kind of in the middle page, and let me click on that and open it for you. Here, down in the middle, are the 5-day scheduled certification worksheets that we want to click on. So I'm going to click on the 5-day worksheet, and it might take a minute to bring this up. This can be a little bit slow, but since I am doing a high school lunch menu worksheet, I am going to go to the grades 9 through 12 lunch worksheet, and I'm going to open that up. Oh, and it opened right away. Now it's downloading, and that might take a minute, hopefully no longer than a minute. Oh, but great. It came right up. I'm going to enlarge this so you can see it. Now, if there is an Enable Editing button at the top, enable it so you can write on this. But the page that you're looking at, this is the actual worksheet, these are the directions. So the first tab that it opens up to are your directions. And I always recommend that you do this. A lot of people don't do it, but you save yourself some headaches. Open up this tab, print off the instructions, and read it twice. The first time I did it, I read it through, and I highlighted it, and then I went back through and read it again so it makes sense. The demonstration will really help, but if you want, it's good to read the instructions before you begin. I mentioned the tabs. I want to make sure that you can see these tabs down at the bottom. So there's a tab for the School Food Authority to put any notes that you want to send to the reviewer. to write by that you want them to know. Maybe you might put a note on there that you're a K through 8 school and you use the K through 8 worksheet, or just some note that you want them to be aware of. Here's your All Meals tab down at the bottom. This is what it looks like. If you don't mind, I'm going to make this just a smidge smaller down here. I'm on the right side where it says 100%, and I just make it just a little smaller so you can kind of see the All Meals tab worksheet a little bit. Here's your optional vegetable bar, and I'll kind of show that to you. So if you do have a vegetable bar, you know how to use this. Here's your daily tabs. So we can see Monday through Thursday. If I want to see more tabs, I just click these arrows on the very bottom left side to click through some more tabs. So now I can see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday tab in that weekly report. So let me click on the Monday tab, and again I'm going to make it a little smaller so you can kind of see it. So here are these drop-down boxes I talked to, I told you about. I'm going to show that to you. On each one of these, I'm actually going to fill it out with our menu worksheet. And then this last tab over here is our weekly report. Now, right now it's all red because I haven't entered any information. If I keep clicking these arrows to go to the right, I see that I have my nutrient instructions and my simplified nutrient assessment. And I'll talk about that. I have another presentation that I will show you in just a little bit. So let me go back to the very beginning. Here's your instructions again. So I just I get through these tabs by using these arrows to the bottom left. If I want to scroll up and down, I use my arrows over on the right side or the bar. And let me get on the All Meals key and show you, watch line 1 and 2 when I start scrolling down. They kind of disappear. If you notice now, you can see line 7, but lines 1 through 6 is under that frozen bar at the top. So if I want to see line 1, 2, 3, or the other meals, I just scroll back up. So if you ever think you lost your information, just scroll back up to the top and it'll reappear. So if it's all right with everyone, I am going to go ahead and start, and I did make this just a smidge smaller so you can kind of see everything and see what I'm doing. So please have that high school menu out so you can kind of follow along. So if you see the Monday menu, we offered 2 ounces of a pork roast, a cup of steamed brown rice, 1 cup of the orange glazed sweet potatoes, 1 cup of grapes, and then we offered 2 choices of milk. They could either choose the 1% white milk, or we had fat-free white milk as the other choice. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this, and I'm going to type on line 1. I'm going to name my meal. I'm going to name it roast pork. That's the name of my lunch. I'm going to go to the next cell, and I'm going to put how many ounces of meat this was that we served. And it's a USDA recipe. We served 2 ounces. So I'm going to put a 2 in that box. Now, don't put ounces. Don't put OZ. It'll come up and tell you it just wants the number. In the next box in the brown area, that's where the grains go. Now, I served a full cup of rice. So half a cup of rice is a 1 ounce equivalency of grain. I served a full cup, so I actually served 2 ounces of grain. And brown rice is whole grain rich, so I'm going to put a 2 for whole grain rich in the column right next to it. The brown rice is not a grain dessert, so I'm going to leave that blank. I didn't serve any grain dessert that day. And I'm going to go over here to the purple, which is my fruit. We have on the left side of fruit where you can put your fruit, and on the right side of fruit you can put your juice if you offered any juice. So I offered a cup of grapes, so I'm going to click the drop-down box, scroll down to 1 cup, and click 1 cup, and put that in fruit. I had no juice that I offered Monday, so I'm going to leave that blank. I'm going to use my scroll bar and scroll over a little bit. And now I'm going to put in my vegetables. How much cups of vegetables did I offer the high school kids? Again, I'm going to click this drop-down box because I did offer 1 cup of sweet potatoes, and I'm going to click on the 1 for 1 cup. I did not offer vegetable juice that day, but I did offer 1 cup of milk. So it's not 8 ounces of milk, it's 1 cup. Now, I'm going to scroll back. Notice that part of my bread and my meat disappeared, so I have to use this bar down here to scroll back to the beginning. I've got Monday in there. Now, I told you to save, so I'm going to do a save as for you. So I'm going to click my Save button, click OK here, and I don't want to name it. I'm going to name it with the name of my school. Remember, I told you to do that, so I will name it ODE School, and I'm going to put grade 9 through 12 lunch worksheet. It's very specific. That way I can find it, and so could a reviewer. They could easily identify that this worksheet goes with the grade 9 through 12 lunch menu. And I'm going to hit save. And I save often. So I've got 1 day in there. I didn't offer anything else on Monday, but if I did, if I offered a chef's salad or a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or a ham sandwich, as a choice, another meal that they could choose, I would keep listing all my meals for Monday. This is very simplified to save time. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm done with Monday. I'm going to do Tuesday's meal. We do the whole week on this All Meal Key. So let's look at Tuesday. Tuesday is the ground beef and macaroni. That's the name of my meal. And again, I'm looking at my USDA recipe, and I served 1 cup. So 1 cup was equal to 2.5 ounces of the meat. The grain for that, and if you look at my menu, I've got several grains here. So I got 1 ounce equivalency of the macaroni that was in the recipe, so I've got 1 there. I also offer the whole wheat roll with that. There was 1 there as well, and then I offered a whole grain rich apple cobbler that also with that recipe with the portion size offered a grain ounce equivalency. So actually I have 3 ounces of grains that I offered that day, and all 3 of them were whole grain rich. I did offer a dessert grain that day, and that was 1 that was with the apple cobbler. So I did fill in my grain equivalency for a grain dessert as well there. I'm going to scoot down so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, the fruit or fruit juice that I offered that day, I did offer half a banana, well, 1 full banana. It equaled half a cup of fresh fruit, and I also count the apples in the apple cobbler, which was half a cup. So those 2 half cups equaled 1 cup of fruit, and I had no juice. So I'm just going to click on the 1 cup for fruit, no juice. Now, the vegetables, I've got several of them. So here's where you can use this little tool over here. I'm going to add it up. If you look at my USDA recipe with the ground beef and macaroni, I had 1/8 cup of other vegetables, some kind of other vegetables, probably maybe a tomato sauce, but I'm going to click 1/8 cup here. I also offered, let's see, I think there was, in my recipe, there was a 1/4 cup of red orange vegetable, so I'm going to click 1/4 cup here. And then I also offered half a cup of zucchini, so I'm going to click here and find half a cup. And notice it totals it up for me. So on this Tuesday, I offered my high school students 7/8 cup of vegetable. Now, before any of you say that's not enough, we know it, but I want to show you what the mistake looks like. So that's what we served. And I served a cup of milk. I'm all done with Tuesday, so I'm going to use my scroll bar and scroll back and put Wednesday in, but before I do, I'm going to save it again. So remember, we save often. Okay, for Wednesday, we had chicken salad. It was actually a chicken salad sandwich that we offered to the kids. Okay, and if you look again at the nutrient information, this is a USDA recipe, you've got it. You can see that that recipe, a half cup of chicken salad equaled 2 ounces of meat. So I'm going to put in my 2 for my meat ounce equivalencies. For my grain, I just offered 2 slices of the whole wheat bread. Those 2 slices were equal to 2 ounce equivalency. So I'm going to put 2 ounces right here. They both are whole grain, so 2 ounces of whole grain rich. And then again, I'm going to put in my fruit. My fruit that day was a cup of strawberries, so I'll click on the cup. No juice was offered. The vegetables, I had 2 of them. I offered 1 cup of broccoli and a cup of cauliflower, a half cup of each. So let me come on over here, use my scroll bar, and I'm going to put in 1 cup of vegetables and 1 cup of milk. I'm done with Wednesday. Let me do Thursday's meal. I'm going to scroll back over. And now I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. So you'll see line 1 and 2 disappearing, but it's still there. It's just underneath the frozen bar. Let me put in Thursday's lunch. So it was I'm going to name it. It's going to be named Baked Cajun Fish. That's the name of my meal. The recipe, it was 2 ounces of protein. I'm going to put that in for the meat alternative. My grain for the day, I offered cornbread, and I offered 2 pieces to equal 2 ounce equivalency. And cornbread is made with corn. That's a whole grain, so it's whole grain rich. I did not offer a grain dessert that day. I did offer fruit. It was 1 cup of canned apricots, so let me put in 1 cup of fruit. No juice again. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I did offer vegetables. My vegetables for the day is I served them 2/3 cup of that USDA recipe of baked beans, which actually gives me a half cup of the beans because of all the sauce. So I did a half cup of baked beans. I also served 1 full cup of romaine lettuce, which credits as half a cup. So my half cup of baked beans and my credible half cup of romaine equals 1 cup of vegetables. So I'll click on 1 cup. No vegetable juice was offered, but I did offer the 1 cup of milk. I'm going to save again. And I'm putting in my last day here, Friday. Friday is cheese pizza. Whoops. And again, using my scroll bar to get to the meat category. It tells me from that product information sheet that that pizza equaled 2 ounces of meat, 2 ounces of whole grain rich grain, and an 1/8 cup of other vegetable. So let me put in my meat first, 2 ounces of meat. My grain, and that's the only grain I had that day for the pizza, that was 2 ounces, and it was whole grain rich. I had no grain dessert. I'll leave that blank. I did offer fruit that day, which was the peaches, and light syrup. I offered 1 full cup. No juice again. I'll leave it blank. And then my vegetables for the day was the potatoes, half a cup of the starchy vegetable, half a cup of tomatoes, so that equals 1 full cup of vegetables that the kids could take, and 1 cup of milk. And I saved it. I've got my whole menu in there for the week now. This was a very simple menu, basically to save time, but my whole menu is in there now, so I'm all done with this part. So, and I did save. If you notice, I save often. Let me show you this vegetable bar real quick if any of you have it. So say you offer a vegetable bar most days to your kids. What you would do here is you would put in what dark green vegetables you offer. So say maybe you offer, you offer romaine salad every day. And you would put in, now there's that warning, is put in the credible amount. So they're allowed to take 2 cups of salad, so that could credit as 1 cup of vegetable. Maybe I also offer spinach or broccoli. So I can keep clicking on here and adding those things in. Maybe here I offer tomatoes every day on my salad bar. So I click tomatoes, and I allow them to take no more than maybe, say, 1/4 a cup. And maybe I offer garbanzo beans, so I would click under the beans. Maybe I offer, zucchini or cucumber or celery, diced celery. So I would maybe go under the other food group and put those items in. So you can kind of see how you fill that out. Now, I don't offer these things, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to take it out. If you make a mistake, you just click the drop-down box and click on a blank. So since, my menu, I don't offer any of these things, I'm taking it all out. And that way you know how to correct a mistake too. I'll just show that to you. So let me move on. I'm going to do the daily tab keys. And here I'm going to use my arrows, kind of move over so you can see all the menu keys down at the bottom. So let's do Monday. And I want you to watch closely what I do. So I'm going to click the drop-down box, and it's going to show me all the meals on the All Meals tab. I'm going to click the one that I served on Monday. The meal that I served Monday was that roast pork. So let me click that, and you see all these yes boxes that I met the daily requirements. The one thing I have to do on this is I do have to tell you what kind of milk I offered Monday and then the vegetable subgroups I offered Monday. So let me do the milk. Now you know that I offered 1% plain white milk, and I also offered the fat-free, non-fat plain white milk. So I'm going to click the two choices. So let me click unflavored white milk, and then I will click the 1% unflavored milk. Now when I click my two choices, that turns to yes. Now I want to put in the vegetable subgroups that I offered on Monday, and you know that I just offered one. And it was, I'm going to click this drop-down box, and I'm going to find sweet potatoes. And I offered a full cup, so let me find the 1 cup. And then I total it. Now, if I offered carrots as well that day on Monday, I would just keep adding in those red vegetables, and when I had my total, I come to the upstairs box and I total all my red vegetables. I only offered 1 cup of sweet potatoes, so I'm going to click 1 cup as my total red vegetables offered. You have to click this downstairs box. You have to fill in the upstairs box. Now, if you don't fill in the upstairs box, that's what I unofficially call it, you will not see any vegetable subgroups on your weekly report when people panic. So I'm showing you both of them. So fill out downstairs first with all the vegetable subgroups in that subgroup category that you offered, and then total them up and put your total at the very top. So make sure you fill out downstairs and upstairs for your vegetable groups. I'm going to save it because I save all the time, and I'm done with Monday. I'm going to do Tuesday. So let me scroll back here. I'm going to click on the Tuesday tab. Now, let me make this a little smaller so you can kind of see. Let me click on the meal that I served Tuesday. And if you remember, Tuesday's meal was that ground beef and macaroni. Again, I have some green, but look what happened here. I'm doing this on purpose so you see what it looks like. I did not offer enough red vegetable. So if I already served this menu and did not offer enough vegetable, I would not submit this in KURS. So I would pick a different week where I did serve the right portion sizes, and I met the daily and the weekly minimum requirement. But I wanted you to see what this looks like, so I'm going to go ahead with this because I want you to see what it looks like on the weekly report as well. Again, fill out the type of milk. So we offered the 1% white milk and the fat-free white milk. Now look at your menu for Tuesday, and we're going to put in the vegetables, vegetable subgroups, and we had quite a few this day. So we know that we had red orange, and we had 1/4 a cup was probably my tomato sauce. So let me go to the red vegetable subgroup. I'm going to click on my drop-down box, and I'm going to find tomato sauce, and I'm going to put in that I served 1/4 cup. Now that's all the red vegetable I served that day. So let me come up here to upstairs and total it to 1/4 cup. Now I had some other vegetables that I served. Let me scroll over to the other vegetable group. Move that out of the way. I know I served zucchini, so let me click on this drop-down box and look for zucchini. I think it's in here. There we go. I served zucchini, and I served a half a cup. And then I have an unspecified other vegetable that I served that was in my macaroni, so I'll click Other Unspecified. And I think it was 1/8 of a cup. So if you add up a half cup plus an 1/8 cup, remember you can use your calculator if you need to, that comes up to 5/8 cups. So I'm totaling those 2 vegetables in that group. And I'm all done with Tuesday. And again, I'll hit Save. Let me do Wednesday for you. Here is Wednesday. Wednesday's meal was that chicken salad sandwich. And I've got all green boxes for meeting the daily requirements. I'm going to put in my 2 different varieties of milk that I offered. Now I'm going to the vegetable subgroups. And that day I served a half cup of a green vegetable. It was broccoli. So I'm going to click on broccoli and put a half cup. And that was my total vegetable. So I'm coming upstairs and putting in a half cup of total green vegetables as half a cup. And then I serve cauliflower. Cauliflower is in the other vegetable group. So let me come down here and see if I can find cauliflower. Here's cauliflower. That is a half cup. And my total subgroup for other vegetables was half cup. And I saved it. Got 2 more days. Hang in there. Let me show you Thursday. Thursday was the baked Cajun fish. I've got all green blocks for meeting the daily requirement. I'm going to fill in my 2 different milk types. There I go. And for Thursday, my vegetable subgroups, let's see, I had a green vegetable. So watch this. I'm going to click on romaine. And it sends me a warning. Make sure you put in the credible amount. I served a cup serving, and it credits as half a cup of green vegetable. And I'll fill that in up the top. I have half a cup of green vegetable. My bean lagoon, I'll scoot over to the bean lagoons. There it is. Now I served, I'm going to click, which one do I want to click for them? I'm looking for, I'll click pinto beans with my baked beans. And remember, I served 2/3 a cup, but the credible vegetable amount is a half cup. And it's just sending a little reminder, does it credit as a vegetable or are you crediting it as a protein? I credit it as a vegetable, so I'm going to go upstairs and put that I served a total of a half cup of vegetable that day. I'll save my work, and I'll do Friday. And I'm almost done here, so let me put Friday in, which was my cheese pizza. I've got all green blocks. I'm going to fill in my milk, 2 different varieties, and then fill in my vegetable subgroup, which I had, we got a few of them. We have a red orange, which was the half cup of tomatoes. Let me make that a little smaller. So let me scroll down here, and I'm going to put in my tomatoes first. So I'm going to find tomatoes. I'm going to put in a half cup. And at the top, I'm going to total that for a half cup. I also had a starchy vegetable. Let me find my starchy vegetable subgroup. I served potatoes that day, so let me find my potatoes at half a cup. And again, I'll fill it up upstairs. I'm filling in half a cup. And then I had a vegetable, was 1/8 a cup of an other vegetable with my pizza. So again, I'm going to click that I have an unspecified vegetable in the other category, and that was just 1/8 cup, and I filled that out, and I'm saving it. I'm all done. So I've got my all meal key filled out. I've got every day of the week tabs filled out. Now I'm ready to look at the weekly report. Now you can't write on it, it's just a report. Oh boy. So you can see, let me make it smaller so you can see. I've got green blocks on everything except for that vegetable on Tuesday. So I didn't quite meet all my requirements for the vegetables. I only totaled 4 7/8 cup instead of the 5 cup requirement. So, and I had one day that I didn't meet the vegetable requirement that's in red, and then I didn't meet the weekly requirement for vegetables. So that, I'm going to leave it there because I want you to see it. This is what it would look like if I didn't meet the requirement. So I'm all done showing you the menu part of the worksheet. And then I will show you the second part, which is the simplified nutrient assessment, which is, if you tabbed over to it, it's right here down at the bottom, and that's the last part of the worksheet. So let me stop and answer any questions that you have right now. Let me stop for just a minute. And Christina, will you open it up for any questions?
Sure, and as a reminder, if you have a question, please press star, then 1 on your phone. And our first question is from LaWanda Engelman. Please go ahead.
Hi, LaWanda. Are you ready?
I'm sorry. I had hit that a little while ago. My question, and I guess, how are you?
I'm fine. It's good to hear your voice. And what's your question?
I guess maybe you're going to answer it next. My question was, do we have to do that simplified nutrient assessment also with this worksheet in order for it to be approved? But I think you're getting to that next.
Yep. You have an option. You can, if you, and I know you don't, I don't think you have it, but if you've got your own nutrient analysis system, if you got Kids Plus or one of these programs that does a nutrient analysis on your menus for you, you can submit that with option 1. I'll tell you though, most school districts do the simplified nutrient assessment, and it's pretty easy to do, and I'll show you how to do it. So that's coming up. I'll answer questions, and then I'm going to show you the simplified nutrient assessment, just a few slides on that one, and then we'll jump in and actually do it. So I'll show you how to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And we have no further questions at this time.
Okay, if it's okay with everyone, I am going to try to switch back here. Oh boy. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute and go back to my document. Let's see. Let me go to the next worksheet. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to start the simplified nutrient assessment. I'm going to review just a few slides. Then I'm going to demonstrate the second part of the worksheet. So here we go. We'll jump right in there with this. So what the simplified nutrient assessment does, and this is what you can use this tool if you don't have a full nutrient analysis program that you use. It's going to, you put in the average daily calories and the percent of calories from saturated fat are being assessed. Now, once that new worksheet comes out, it'll also assess your sodium for your products as well. But right now, it's just your fat and your saturated fat and your calories. So right now, it assesses calories and saturated fat. Okay. So it estimates the calories or saturated fat information for your milk, fruit, and vegetables. That's already pre-programmed, so you don't need to go get that information. It's based on the information that you put in on your menu worksheets. You do have to provide your calories and saturated fat information for your main dishes for that week. So for that main week, I had to get it for those 5 entrees. For your side items that you offer, such as your breads and your rice and your grains and your condiments and any desserts, I had an apple cobbler, so I got my information from that. So you collect all your information from your nutrition labels and your product specifications, get all that gathered up for that week, and you're going to enter that in. If you have scratch recipes, they should all be standardized. And there are some sources that you can use for nutrient analysis. I'm going to show that to you on the next page, that you can use with standardized recipes that are used to determine your calories and saturated fat. So let me show that to you real quick, because some of you, I know you like to write this down. Here's some online resources for recipe analysis if you need it. The one I recommend the most is USDA Super Tracker. It's so easy to use. The address is right there on the screen. It's www.choosemyplate.gov, and you can write this address down, or you can do a search for Super Tracker, and it will take you to it. And you can use that tool to just make sure that your recipes, that you've got your nutrient information. I also want to tell you, USDA has a lot of recipes now, and they're very good to use. There's some recipes on ODE's website with the menus that move that already contain all the nutrition information. So if you got those standard recipes, USDA recipes, those are great to use. So the SFA selects the option that best represents how your fruit, vegetables, and milk are served during the week, and I'm going to show this to you. You select radio buttons. If you've added sugar to the product or you've added fat to the vegetable, you're going to tell us how much you've added by percentages, and I'll show that to you in just a few minutes. I already mentioned that the average servings and total servings of the fruit, vegetable, and milk are pre-populated, and it's all calculated for you. And the calorie and saturated budget, that is calculated based on fat and sugar preparation for your fruit, vegetables, and milk. So if you add brown sugar to your sweet potatoes or fat to your vegetables, you're going to tell us how much you added. And the next slide is just a real quick snapshot. It's kind of small, but if you look on the left side, this is what it looks like when you open up the simplified nutrient assessment. So the first thing you see on the left side are your fruits. And if you scroll down, it'll have your milk information, what kind of milks you offered most often as a choice. It'll have your vegetable subgroups, whether you added fat to any of those vegetables on the left side. In the middle is where you're going to enter your entrees. It'll pre-populate all of your entree items that you put in. You're going to put in your calories and your saturated fat for each of those entree dishes. And then on the very far right, that's where you're going to put in your grains, your side dishes, your desserts, your condiments, and all of that information. And you'll see me do that in a few minutes. And I want to show you the vegetables, because this is a good slide where you can see those radio buttons. This will tell you if you offered any vegetables during the week, how much you offered, and if the radio button automatically is clicked on other vegetable group, this is the other vegetable group, subgroup, it says that they weren't offered until you change it. So you want to change it if you offered vegetables in the other vegetable subgroup to either less than 30% total fat was added, 30 to 70% throughout the week fat was added, or more than 70% of the products offered throughout the week had fat added to it that are in that vegetable subgroup. So that's kind of what it looks like, and I'll fill this all out so that you can see it. I kind of mentioned before, to be careful with the dark green vegetables. So the 2 credible cups of dark green vegetables offered through the week. So say you had, this is just an example, 2 cups of raw spinach, which credits as 1 cup, and then 1 cup of broccoli with cheese sauce. So notice that you did have fat added to the broccoli. You had a cheese sauce. So you did add some fat. So 1 out of 2 items, which is 50%, have fat added. So you would click on the 30 to 70% radio button for fat added to your green vegetable subgroup. Let me show you fruit real quick and those radio buttons. If you can see, on the left side, it has added fat to your fruit throughout the week, and then on the right side, it has added sugar throughout the week. So you have to click one of those radio buttons, one of the 3, if you serve fruit throughout the week. And let me give you an example of fruit, how to figure out that percentage. Say you had 5 cups of fruit were offered over the week. Say 2 of them were in light syrup and 3 of them were fresh, and that's how our menu is. So as a result, 2 out of 5 cups of fruit had some added sugar, so that's 40% of the time. So you would, again, you'd select that 30 to 70% radio button range. Just to give you an example of some common added sugars to some of your fruits or vegetables, these are some things that you might add that contain sugar. Or if fat, if you've added some fat, maybe you put some butter on your vegetables, or you added some whipped cream to your fruit. So these are common sources of added fat. And then they do give you a little tool that you can click on. There's a little hyperlink. These are commonly used condiments, so you don't have to look up everything of how much calories or saturated fat are in these items. So if you use margarine or Italian dressing, it's just a little cheat sheet that USDA gave you of common condiments that you can kind of look up their calories and saturated fat content. Okay, what you need to do is you're going to enter your calories and saturated fat information for your meat and grain offerings for the reimbursable meal. So you have to have that nutrient information ready. You have to have your production ready, too. You've got to have production records in front of you for the school that you're working with to enter the quantity of servings that you plan to prepare for each reimbursable meal. So then there will be a weighted average for calories and saturated fat that will be calculated throughout the week. And let me just kind of show you another snapshot here. Okay, this is kind of in the middle. It's not very big, but that's where you're putting in your main items, your main entree items with your calories and your saturated fat and the number of prepared serving sizes. And that's kind of what that looks like. At the very end on the right side of this worksheet, you're going to enter your desserts, your grain items such as your buns and your dinner rolls and your cornbread and your rice, and any condiments, your mayonnaise, your Italian dressing, your vegetable dip, anything like that that's extra, that's a side item. You're going to put that on the right side. And you have to enter the number planned or prepared. That's why you need the production records of all your grain-based desserts and all your side items and condiments. And again, it'll produce a weighted average for over the week. And that's what the right side looks like. It does not have to match up. It doesn't have to all be in any certain order. So that's what that looks like right over there. And again, you've got some tools that you can use. So let me just kind of show you this. Say you wanted, let's say green beans. Say you offer 3/4 cup of green beans to kids, and your can label says it gives you 1/2 cups of calories. It's all in 1/2 cup portion size. You can enter the amount of cups you offered, say it's 3/4 cup, and then you enter the number of servings on the label, which is 1/2 cup. And so they give you the calories for 1/2 cup is 50. It'll calculate that 3/4 cup for you of calories, and it'll tell you that it's 75. So, you still have some little tools that you can use that are with this nutrient assessment. When you get all this put in, what you will see if the menu meets the requirements is that the assessment box turns green. There's 2 assessment boxes. One's for calories, one's for saturated fat. If it's yellow, call your state consultant. We're going to see if we can get you in the green. Sometimes we can work with just little changes that get you down into the green boxes. If it's red, you did not meet the nutrient assessment part of your menu planning. And you won't submit it if you got red. Let me show you what that looks like. Here's those 2 boxes that calculates your calories and calculates your saturated fat. So you want to have green, and I'll show you where you find this so that you will be able to see it. So let me stop. If it's all right with all of you, I'm going to switch again back to the worksheet. So let me go back, and I'm going to share my screen again. There's your nutrient instructions. Here's the simplified nutrient assessment tab at the bottom. Now you can see here is the fruit category on the left side, and that's what I'm going to start with. So if you look at that, it tells us, let me scroll up a little, we served 1 cup per week, or 1 cup per day, 5 cups per week. Did we add any fat, any whipped cream or anything to our fruit? And I did not. So you can kind of see right now the radio buttons on fruits not offered. I'm going to click less than 30% of my fruit had any fat added. Now, I did offer 5 fruits, and several of them, I think it was 2 of them, they were in syrup, and a light syrup. The other 3 were fresh. So that's 40%, 2 out of 5 is 40%. So I'm going to click the 30 to 70% for fruit had some added sugar. Now I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Whoops, I scrolled down a little too much. I want to scroll down to the milk. And it says milk not offered. Well, I did offer milk, and I offered the non-fat unflavored and the 1% unflavored. So that's what I offer just about every day, most common milk choices. So that's the radio button. I'm going to click for milk. Let me just kind of scroll down just a little bit more. And now I'm in my vegetable subgroup. So let me do the dark green vegetable first. And the dark green vegetables that I offered were broccoli and romaine lettuce. I did not add any fat, so I'm going to click that 30% radio button. I'm going to go to the next vegetable subgroup, which I think it's the red-orange. And again, did I add any fat? Oh, and let me look at that glazed sweet potatoes and the tomatoes. I did not add any fat, so I'm going to click less than 30%, and then I'm going to look at my tomatoes and my sweet potatoes. I had two vegetables, two red-orange vegetables and tomato sauce, and I did add some sugar to the sweet potatoes. So again, I'm in that 30 to 70% range, so I click that radio button. Let me scroll down a little bit more to the next vegetable subgroup, which is my beans. And the beans, let's see, I did add sugar, but I didn't add fat. And it's only looking for fat with the beans, so I'm going to click less than 30%. And I'll scroll down to the starchy vegetables. And the starchy vegetables was my potato wedges. I did not add any fat, no margarine, no butter. They were not fried. They were baked, so I'm less than 30%. And then my last vegetable subgroup is my zucchini and my cauliflower and some other little unspecified vegetables. I added no fat to any of them, so I'm at less than 30% again of added fat. So I am all done with that. I'm going to scroll back up to the top. There we go. I'm going to save this because I save often. Okay. Now I'm going to go over to the middle here, and I am going to fill in my main entrees. Now, I only offered 5 of them through the week, and you can see my menu meals are over here. I'm going to put down exactly what I'm going to include for calories and saturated fat and number of servings for my pork roast. So I'm going to put in, I'm going to put in pork roast. And if you are looking at my ingredients, I've got my ingredients there. Let me look this up. Okay, for the pork roast, 1 ounce is 71 calories. I offered 2, so 2 times 71 will be 142 calories. And my saturated fat for 1 ounce is 1.49, so I double that, and it's 2.98 for saturated fat. And let's just make this simple. I'm going to say I serve 500 calories, or I'm sorry, 500 servings is what I prepared for the kids. I'm done with that one. I'm going to do ground beef next. So if you pull out that information sheet, that USDA recipe, 3/4 cup serving is 283 calories. Now, I served 1 cup. I served 2.5 ounces of meat. So if you do the math, 1 cup is 377 calories. So let me go ahead. I'm putting in my macaroni and beef recipe. And that was 377 calories for the full cup serving. If you look up my sheet, 3/4 cup is 4.4 grams of fat. So if you do the math, it comes out to 5.88. So let me put in 5.88 ounces of saturated fat. And I'll just say 500 servings for everything. Now my chicken salad sandwich, I'm going to just put the chicken salad over here, not the bread, and look at that USDA recipe. That's 2-ounce serving, which is what I served. It's 165 calories, and it's 1.67 grams of saturated fat. And I'll just say I served 500 servings. The Cajun baked fish, that is 2 ounces, and I served 2 ounces. So let me put in, I'm just going to put in my fish here. It was 128 calories. It was 1.75 grams of fat. And I'll just keep it simple, 500 servings. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. You see things start to disappear under there. Let me put in my cheese pizza. Oops. My cheese pizza at 2 ounces was 260 calories and 4 grams of fat. And we'll just say 500 servings. Okay, now I'm going to save this. All right, and I'm going to do the last part over here. One more step here. Let me scroll back to the top. Now, this does not have to be in any order. Put it in any way you want. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to start with the brown rice. That was one of my side items. Now, let me look on this sheet. Okay, so this says for half a cup, it's 171 calories. I served a full cup, so that's, I would double that. 171 times 2 is 342 calories. And the half cup is 0.18 grams of saturated fat, so double that. It would be 0.36 grams of saturated fat. I'll just say 500. Okay, and then I did serve a whole grain dinner roll. That one dinner roll is 75 calories, and it is 0.2 grams of fat. And I'll just say we served 500. I also offered some margarine. Now, I had it on twice. It tells me 1 teaspoon is 34 calories. I offered 2 teaspoons, so we're going to say 68 calories. We'll double it. 1 teaspoon is 0.79, so if I doubled my grams of fat, that would be 1.56. And I'm going to say serve 700 servings of it. I did serve my dessert. My fruit dessert is going over here on this side. That is my dessert. So I served an apple cobbler. Whoops. There we go. And the apple cobbler, I served 1 serving size, is 299 calories. And it's 2.96 grams of saturated fat. And I'll just say every kid took my, apple cobbler. Okay, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I'm running out of room, and it can be in any order. I'm going to put in my bread. For my chicken salad that I served, I served whole grain bread. I'm just going to put down that I served 2 slices so they know I'm going to combine it. 1 slice is 69 calories, so I served 2 slices. I'll double that at 138 calories. See, 1 slice is 0.2 grams of fat, so we'll double that to 0.4 grams. And I'll just say everybody took bread with their chicken salad. We had cornbread. And again, I served 2 servings. 1 serving is 108 calories, so I'm going to double that, 216. And I might put a note here that I offered 2 servings. And my saturated fat on cornbread's 0.45, so that would be 0.9 grams of saturated fat. And I got just a few things left. I had that creamy vegetable dip. That is, I served 2 tablespoons. Product information for 2 tablespoons is 52 calories and 0.61 grams of fat, saturated fat. And I have one more that I offered. It was my Italian dressing. Oh, and again, that was for 2 tablespoons. Oops. There we go. And 2 tablespoons is 186 calories and 2.85 grams of saturated fat for 500 calories. I'm going to save this, and I'm all done. So let me show you where to find your totals here. I'm going to scroll down, kind of down towards the bottom. Oops. Scroll over a little bit so you can see. So there's my ranges. I have 2 green blocks. My calories came out to 830. I'm within that range of 750 to 850. And my percentage of fat is 7%, so I'm under 10% saturated fat. So I have 2 green blocks. If it was yellow, then I would kind of look to make sure that my quantities were correct. If it's red, I'm not going to turn this worksheet into the state because I didn't meet my requirements. So that is everything that I wanted to kind of show you on the worksheet. And Christine, let me open it up again for questions.
Sure, and one more reminder, if you have a question, please press star, then 1 on your phone now. I'm showing no questions at this time.
Well, if it's okay, let me switch back, and boy, bear with me. I'll switch back here. I'm going to stop sharing my desktop. I'm going to go back to my document. And just some final steps. So you want to assess your results and make sure that it's accurate, that all the information you put in is accurate and it represents your menu. That week that you chose is a representation of the menu that you use. Make sure you save it and you've got them named. Make sure you have all green blocks. Now, if you have any trouble, just some troubleshooting. If you think you lost your data, I kind of was showing you those tabs. Make sure the scroll bar is all the way back up to the top, because remember the top bar is frozen, so things kind of disappear under it. If you can't find your vegetable subgroups, they're not adding up, make sure that you click that upstairs box on the vegetable subgroup on your daily menu key. Make sure that you put the information at the bottom on the vegetable subgroups, and also that you put it in at the top. And sometimes you see this little warning that comes up. Just click continue. It's fine to just continue with it all. It won't be any problem. I do want to show you, if it's okay, I just want to take a few minutes, just 5 or 10 minutes. I just want to show you how to submit the 6th Sense certification in KURS. First of all, what you want to do, where I showed you how to get the worksheet, go back in on our website and click on 6th Sense. When you click on 6th Sense and you open up the 6th Sense certification new meal pattern resources, the first thing that you'll see at the top are the instructions for downloading or uploading your documents in KURS. So I want you to print it off. It's about 11 pages long. It has snapshots in it and detailed information. If you print that off, you just follow right along with it. And it doesn't matter when you upload into your menus and your worksheets if you do the menus first or if you upload your worksheets. You're going to upload them all in menu management. So let me show that to you in a minute. I also want to point out right under there, under the instructions on that 6th Sense certification webpage, is your attestation. So you want to print that off, open it up, print it, sign it and date it, then scan it back in your documents and save it in your files. Name it attestation, so that you can browse and upload that attestation. So let me kind of show you some snapshots just to give you an idea. If you go into KURS, you're going to go into where you put in your sponsor application. So you click on the left side in KURS, instead of clicking claims or reviews, you're going to click applications. So you're going to go into the sponsor application menu, and you are going to see these go buttons. One is named Menu Management. That is where you're going to upload all of your menus and all of your menu worksheets. The other go button is called Meal Pattern Compliance. That's where you load one document, that's your attestation, and that you submit once you hit that red submit button, it sends both the worksheets and your attestation to ODE, to Child Nutrition Services. So just wanted to show you a snapshot of what that looks like in KURS. There's your two go buttons that you're going to use to submit your 6 cents documents in KURS. This is just if you opened up that the meal management button. This is what it kind of looks like. You're going to put in all your contact information. So you're going to upload that first, and then you're going to add your menus or your worksheets down below. There will be a button that you click to upload each one of them. So you then upload your menus from your files by clicking Add New Menu Certification button, and you fill in the menu name, the type, if it's breakfast or lunch, your A grade group, and any comments that you want to make for the reviewer, and you click Save. And then you can upload your menus and your worksheets. You hit Browse, and you just keep uploading all of this till you get all of them finished and uploaded in the menu management section. So this is just kind of what it looks like. When you're finished uploading all your menus and your menu worksheets, once they're all uploaded in the menu management section, you click, if you've got more than one site using menus, you click on each school that uses that menu. So if you're a district that has 6 schools, you might have 3 or 4 of them using that menu worksheet and menu. So you just click and let us know which schools are using it. And when you're all done doing that, you click Finish. Now, if this is a snapshot of the Menu Compliance Go button, this is where you upload down here. You're going to upload your attestation, and again, it browses your documents, your files, and you upload your signed attestation page. When that's uploaded, then you can click that red bar. I think it says Submit to State Agency. That's when you hit that, and it sends everything. Now, you can upload everything and not submit it yet, and you can still modify it or delete if you want to. But once you hit that red Submit button, then it's sent to us, and it's pending approval. So then you can't really do anything else at that time until you hear from the 6 cents, or I'm sorry, from the Right Bite group. They will communicate back and forth to you if you're approved. They have 6 weeks to look at that menu and respond back if you're approved or not, if you have some corrections. And I did give you that number earlier. Let me give it to you again in case any of you kind of missed it. I'm going to give you Right Bite's phone number again. It's 1-855-749-2368. So that's pretty much the end of the presentation. Here is our toll-free number. You can call your regional consultant if you need help. Liz Solomon's really good on this worksheet. You can call me, Carol Marples. I'm one of the consultants that works with the 6 Cents worksheet. You can always call the consultant on phone duty, or I should call him the education specialist on phone duty. They can probably help you with the worksheet as well. So there's our toll-free number, that 800-808-6325. That is our office number, and you can at least talk to somebody if you need help with the worksheet, and we'll be so glad to help you. We really want to encourage you to get this done. Now, if it's okay, I'm just going to switch back, and let me see if I can just... I don't know if I can bring up the breakfast worksheet, but let me see if I can bring up a breakfast worksheet just to kind of show you what it looks like. So let me bring one up. And I'm taking extra time. I apologize if some of you kind of wanted to go, but I just want to show you what the breakfast worksheet what it looks like. And it's taken a few minutes to download. But while we're waiting for that to open up, let me open it up for questions. If any of you have any questions at all.
Sure, and again, please press star 1 if you have a question. And our first question is from John Luce. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Real quick question. We currently are not serving breakfast. Should I just go ahead and submit for the 6 cents now and then submit for breakfast later once we start that?
Well, no, it's your current practice. So if you do not have a breakfast program at your school or in your district, you just complete the lunch worksheets. That's all. It's your current practice. So if you have not served breakfast this month, well, October or September, then you don't need to fill out the breakfast worksheet.
Right, but when we get ready to do breakfast, I need to resubmit the 6 cents for breakfast, or once I'm certified, even once we start breakfast?
Once you are approved, you're approved, and you're ready to go. So if you're just doing lunch right now, I recommend that you go ahead and get those worksheets in.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. That's okay.
The next question is from Champagne Harris. Please go ahead.
I had a question in regard to the format of our uploaded documents. Is there anything preferred? I'm assuming PDF, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, that's fine. That's fine. You can upload with PDF. So.
Okay. Are there any formats not accepted?
Not that I know of. And
okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. That was all I had.
Okay. Thank you for calling in.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And we have no further questions at this time.
No further questions. Okay. Well, and I was trying to open up, I was trying to open up the, download the breakfast worksheet so you could see it, but for some reason downloading from USDA site is taking a long time. Let me see if maybe I can find, let me get out of here. Well, it doesn't want to let me out. I was going to see if I have a worksheet on my desktop, but can't seem to get out of here. Okay. Well, I'm still going to share. Let me see. I should have opened one up for you. Well, I will just make a few comments about breakfast. It's easier than lunch. You just have to put in your components, your grain, your milk, and your fruit. Remember that you always offer at least a full cup of the fruit. And you're going to have to just collect some of your information that you have for your for breakfast. So you need to have your nutrient information for your main items for your grains. So again, it's the calories and saturated fats. Soon it will also include sodium. And again, you just fill out the all meals key with all the breakfast items you offer through the week, and then and what fruit and vegetable or fruit or vegetable or juice that goes with it, and the milk. And it's filled out the same way as your lunch menu. So I can't really bring that up right now, but if nobody has any other questions, I guess our presentation is over for the day. And I just want to thank those of you who spent, about 2.5 hours with me this morning going over it. If you have questions and you're stumbling through, call your regional state consultant for assistance. You must get it done this year, so you have to do the worksheet. sooner the better. So thank you all for participating in our webinar today.
Thank you, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes today's conference. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.